Our season is officially over, but we closed it out on a high note on an 8-game win streak and a big time victory over Texas State in the 68 Ventures Bowl, 59-41. And as you can see, we have a single game record broken by Ollie Fisher for receiving yards. So we'll definitely have to go to the record screen to check that out. So congratulations, Ollie Fisher, a big transfer portal commit coming through in the clutch, having a Heisman season and setting a single game record for not only receiving yards, but as you can see visually depicted here, single game record for receptions as well. So what a massive year, massive season for Ollie Fisher. And it just doesn't stop. He has a single game record broken as well for the MAC single game receiving yards. So he's just tallying them in. I assume that he set the record for the receptions as well for the MAC. Receiving yards, single season record broken. Congratulations, Ollie Fisher has set the league single season receiving yards record. So that's in the entire league. That's in the history. So Ollie Fisher went on a complete tear this year. And look, there it goes yet again. He might as well be the greatest player in history at this point. Might as well be the greatest player in history at this point. Single season record broken. Congratulations, Kent State single season receiving touchdowns record. And here we are again, yet another record. Did anybody else break any records, or was it just Ollie Fisher here? Congratulations, Ollie Fisher has set the MAC single season receptions record. That's what I thought about 4 records ago was about to pop up. But here it is popping up here. And he's just shattered every record. He shattered every expectation we could have had bringing him in. Here we go. Finally, somebody else. Jaden Davis has a single game record broken. Congratulations. Jaden Davis has set the Kent State single game passing yards record. So that goes to show you the type of display, the type of performance that we put in against Texas State. And remember, that game, we were behind ugly. I want to say that was a few days ago. I want to say it was about 27-7. But nonetheless, we put on a monstrous performance in the second half. And scoring right before half is what really set us off. Because if we didn't score there, then we wouldn't have came back. Who knows how that game would have panned out. As you can see, Jaden Davis had yet another passing record, single game passing record. And there you have it, 68 Ventures Bowl. Congratulations, you have won the 68 Ventures Bowl. We closed out, like I said, we closed out the season on a high note, on a massive high note, as you can tell by all the records broken. Like I said before, I mentioned it before, there you have it, 59-41. It was a crazy game from start to finish, from the game opening up, us blasting their kick returner, picking it up, scooping and going in for the score, but celebrating, dropping the ball, only for their defender to pick it up. And instead of it being a touchback, they ruled it a touchdown. And they didn't even allow them to kick the extra point. That's how you know it was a glitch. But going on from there, look, we demolished them, 59-41, 582 pass yards to their 344. They had us in a rush. But like I was saying, although the game started the way it started, we continued to pour on ourselves. And looking at some of these season numbers, you had Jaden Davis finish the season with 4,248 pass yards with 41 TDs and 21 picks. A little more picks than we'd like him to have. But nonetheless, a lot of pass yards. He got it on later on. Look at Ollie Fisher. There you have it. You can see he is Heisman for a reason. 2,300 receiving yards, 21 TDs, averaging 164.4 yards receiving a game, with his longest being 81. He was a monster. 807 yards after the catch. Unbelievable. Flatly unbelievable. And Dontrell Bennett wasn't far behind, as he added 1,177 yards receiving, averaged 9.4 yards of reception. He had 8 TDs and he averaged 84.1 yards receiving a game. Tommy Arnold, our tight end, Jesus, can't even get tight end outright. Pause. But anyways, he had 391 on the year with 2 receiving TDs. Terry and Martin actually had the same amount of yards, 391. And going over to the defensive side, Kobe Smith actually had a monstrous year himself, having 22 and a half sacks. And not too far behind him was Juellis Walls with 13 and a half sacks. Then we had Tevin Tucker and Nyland Brown, 8.5, 8 sacks. Then you had Cordoba had 8 sacks. Kylan Webb had 5. 4 and 4 for Maddox and Robinson. It was just the defense had an outstanding year. And like I said, look, I got all off topic. I was talking about that bowl game, but we put an avalanche. The avalanche was falling down on us, and we scored just before half to give us some momentum, and we took off and ran with it to close out the game. And it was a crazy second half for Ollie Fisher, Jaden Davis, and the crew. They put the team on their back, and we got the job done, putting up nearly 60 points. You might as well say 60. We had 59. But looking at the career records for Kent State, we're not really close yet with anybody. Of course, Ollie wouldn't be up there. This is his first year, but for a season, there you have it. Ollie Fisher set the single season record, or national record at that. You see, it says national, not school record, not university record, national record. 2,302 yards receiving. Receptions wise, he didn't get that, as that's still in East Carolina's hands for Zay Jones with 158 receptions. Who knows? Maybe one day we might get that. So season-wise for Kent State, as you can see it, Jaden Davis set that record right there with 4,248 yards. Ollie Fisher with the 2,300 yards receiving. And then rush yards, Eugene Jarvis, which isn't our guy. Ollie Fisher had receptions with 157. Oh, he had 157? So he was literally too shy of breaking the national record. That's crazy. I didn't know he was that close. If that was the case, I would have tried to get him the ball more. Wow. And as you can see, Kobe Smith with the school record for sacks with 22. Ollie Fisher receiving touchdowns, 21, set the record there. And Jaden Davis passing touchdowns with 41. And I intend on breaking that the next season. I anticipate us having a monstrous season in year 3. If this is the performance we put on in year 2, we're progressing. Year 1, we went 7-7. We ended the year on a 2-game losing streak. Year 2, we went 10-4 and closed the season on an 8-game win streak. So what does year 3 have in store for us? Only time will tell. So Kent State records for a single game. Ollie Fisher there with 23. Let's see. National, that is what we want to. No, MAC. I'm sorry. MAC is what we want to look at here. So let's see. Interceptions. We don't have anybody there. But Ollie Fisher, 386 receiving yards. So now we're going to look at season statistics, MAC records. So we don't have anybody there for quarterback. Receiving wise, of course, it's Ollie Fisher again, because he's on there for a ton of records, and sacks for Kobe Smith. So we do have a lot of records broken. CFB history. Oh, we're not going to check that out yet. We're on bowl week 104. We'll take a peek at that as we progress through the bowl season. But nonetheless, you see the awards, you see the trophy room. You can add the 68 Ventures trophy to that trophy case. Big time victory, big time comeback victory. Hard fought. Everybody put in work. Even though we tried several times in that first half to give that game away, you can see we got that Heisman trophy in there. Edge rusher of the year. We got all of that. Big season for us, but it can only be bigger. And we can see, pause. And only time will tell that. Once year 3 comes, we shall see. But nonetheless, it's time that we get ready to go ahead and advance to the next not next season. I was about to say next season. The next week of the bowl season. Because we have nothing else to do this week besides go ahead and look at our trophies, look at our statistics. That's what sucks about this whole thing, about our season being over already, is that it ends here. And we don't even get to do anything like recruiting wise or anything of that nature, because we still have to advance through the bowl season, which I am interested to see who's going to knock off who going forward. But regardless, it's still a long process, because you gotta wait. So we're gonna go ahead and advance to the following week, see who knocks off who. And as we progress, I still can't believe that they gave us the 25th ranked team in the nation before we even got to the conference championship. And then after we win a conference championship, they took it away from us. Crazy. So after advancing, MAC Defensive Player of the Week, Kobe Smith with his 3 sacks, 3 tackles, 4 tackles for loss. Again, a monstrous year for him too. It got overshadowed because of guys like this guy right here, Ollie Fisher, MAC Offensive Player of the Week of the 68 Ventures Bowl, 23 catches, 386 yards, 4 TDs receiving. Also, National Offensive Player of the Week, 23 catches again, 300, nearly 400 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. Crazy week. Crazy week. Of course, we got a bye week. We got a bye week the rest of the bowl season. Let's go ahead and view these job offers to see who has what or see who offered us what. So head coach for Kansas, Arkansas State offered us head coach. So we got all head coaching spots now. Liberty, Kansas State. But nonetheless, we're not taking any. We're not moving. We're not moving. We're staying put where we're at until we actually turn this university around, bring home a championship. This week we got Ohio State, number 5 Ohio State facing off against number 4 South Carolina. Ryan Williams with a massive game, 7 catches, 126 yards, 2 TDs, and another big game between number 6 Clemson and number 3 Texas Tech. And Duke, Darian Mensah had a monstrous game, 367 yards passing, 1 TD, 66 completion percentage. So it seems it's a lot of big games. It seems it's a lot of big games. And again, just to double check and make sure that our guys are still here. Nobody offered them anything. We did have a on the edge kind of really good season. So it's good to see that nobody ran off on the plug. So we're still good for another year. And if we have an even better year next year, I fully anticipate both of those coordinators leaving us and us needing to replace both of them. So let's check out the staff moves, see who went where. So Joey McGuire, he was hired by Arkansas. He was formerly of Texas Tech. Dillingham got hired by Michigan, formerly of Arizona State. Matt Rule was fired in Nebraska. Let's see. Casey Woods, Arsenal. A lot of these guys are guys that we already seen and we checked out when we did the staff moves the last time, with the exception of a few guys getting positions elsewhere. Murphy got hired by San Diego State. So a few new moves made, but nonetheless pretty much similar to what it was. Let's go ahead and check out players of the week. There we are. We had let's see what the the CFP bracket looked like. Let's see what the CFP bracket looks like so far, how it started. Okay, so second round matchups, like I mentioned before, Ohio State, South Carolina, Alabama versus Georgia. That's going to be a really, really good matchup. Clemson, Texas Tech, and you got Duke and Penn State. I think Penn State should pull that one off. I'm thinking Clemson pulls it off against Texas Tech. I feel like Alabama is a sleeper upset over Georgia. And I feel like Ohio State knocks out South Carolina, as they knocked out Hawaii in the first round. Bama knocked out UCLA in the first round. So it'll be intriguing to see how these games go. So let's go ahead and advance another week to see who ended up doing what. Again, nothing else really changed here for us. It's not going to change. We didn't play. Nothing is going on that's going to change anything happening for us. So coaching carousel. Here we are again. See what the job offers are for this week. No results. So everybody's fed up with us not deciding to go to their schools. So nobody's offering us any more job opportunities. So Ohio State did win. I predicted Ohio State to win. I predicted Alabama to get the sleeper upset, but it ended up being Georgia. So you got number 5 Ohio State facing off against number 1 Georgia. Texas Tech ended up winning. I thought they'd lose. Oh, Duke pulled it off. Duke beat Penn State. Wow, really? By a score of 17-14. Crazy. And Nick Harbor had a crazy game for South Carolina. 10 catches, 147 yards, but it just wasn't enough to knock off Ohio State. It was Ohio State that South Carolina had to face, right? Right? Good. Nothing moved here. We still got Simmons as our offensive coordinator. We still got our D coordinator. Let's see if any other staff moves were made. Nope. It seems everything stayed the same. Yeah, everything pretty much stayed the same. The same moves that we saw when we looked at staff moves before we advanced to last week are the same moves that you see here. Chuck Martin got hired by Michigan State. Then you had Matt Rule fired by Wisconsin. So all of that pretty much stayed the same for the most part. Let's go check out these top stories. Well, we already went through top stories. Manage staff. I don't have to manage staff. There's really nothing else to do here at this point. I already looked at all this. There's nothing else to do here at this point. Right now, we're kind of bored. I feel like I should be doing more on these weeks, especially since I'm actually documenting my content. I feel like I shouldn't just be skating by these weeks and advancing just to be advancing. But there's nothing else for us to do. But we can do is look at this bracket and see what these scores were. And it was South Carolina that was facing off against Ohio State. So Nick Harbor's big performance just wasn't enough. Ohio State pulled out a close victory, though. It was close. They made it close. 20-17. So we got some interesting matchups this week. Let's see who ends up pulling this off and meeting each other in the national championship. So again, everything stays the same for us per usual. What's the update? What's the top stories? Who's facing off against who? So it will be Duke and Ohio State in the national championship. Wow. So Duke is like the Cinderella team of this whole bracket. That's crazy. So they knocked off number 2 Penn State. They knocked off, I wasn't even paying attention. Who was they facing the last one? I think it was Clemson. I forgot who they were facing. I'm going to have to go take a look at the bracket to see. But nonetheless, Humphreys, 12 catches, 150 yards, and a TD. Duke had, it's Texas Tech. 20-16. Big time victory for Duke. Wow, what a run Duke is on. 2 sacks for Edric Houston. And big game for Ohio State. So let's see if Ohio State ends up winning its second national championship in a matter of 3 years, or if Duke gets their very first championship. So again, staff moves stayed the same. Nothing changed there. We can go ahead and advance and see who won the national championship before we officially go into the offseason and back into full-time recruiting mode. So we're so close to getting our next level for Coach Glover. Nothing else changed here for us. Oh, they do have us ranked 26 in the nation. So we came up 1 spot shy. But let's see who is national champs. Let's take a peek. We got to see who ends up holding up that banner. And it is indeed Ohio State. Pulls off their second championship in a matter of 3 years by a score of 34-16. Duke fought. They fought. But it just wasn't enough against the juggernaut of Ohio State. So crazy year, but a crazy finish, an even better year for us than we had in year one. Caleb Koss, cornerback, no interceptions, but he had 4 tackles and a pass deflection. So I assume he balled out. Impact player was Meelan Graham, wide receiver, 97 catches, 1,447 yards on the year. Golly. And that's with players like Jeremiah Smith on the roster. So extraordinary year, extraordinary finish for Ohio State. And that's going to do it. As always, if you here for the first time or you returning, you haven't liked or subscribed already, please do so. Click that notification tab so you can stay up to speed with more of this Kent State rebuild, as well as other college football 26 content. Again, I appreciate you all for tuning in. That's been my time. Till next time. Peace.